And check my voice, how is that?
Yeah, that's okay.
I'm sure it is, Campbell. Okay.
You're good.
All right. So my name is Dee Wakefield, and I run ElderGuard's digital safety, cybersecurity for people with crypto assets. Today's topic is how to buy and store crypto assets with your SMSF. Just a couple of words about me. So I'm born and bred in Austria, and then I married an Aussie, came to Australia in 2008, 2009. I've got 2 step grandkids, and then of course I've got my family back in Austria. Now professionally, my background was always in safety and security, something that was dear to my heart. First as a researcher in a biosafety level 3 laboratory, and I hold a number of different Queensland security licenses. And then I also have training in OSINT. OSINT is open source intelligence that's investigating people and companies online using the internet, but also the deep web. Now that's my happy place, so that photo is obviously a bit of an older photo. I do rock climbing mostly in a gym now for security reasons as well, or safety reasons at my age, advanced age. Quick disclaimer today that any of the information that I share today should not be construed as any sort of financial advice. It's important you do your own due diligence and also speak with your financial advisor before you make any sort of investment decision. All right, so the question is, how do you buy and store crypto assets with your SMSF? And the very first and foremost fundamental answer there is you've got to do it safely. Now, the top 3 problems that I see people are running into when they deal with crypto assets is that number 1, there is a lack of investor understanding. Then there's the industry standards in crypto are fairly low. It's a fairly new, in comparison, a new market. And then we're dealing with an unregulated market. So the solution to these 3 top problems is that number 1, you need some sort of personalized support, someone that you can actually call if you want to understand something, learn something. Very important that whatever you do, that you always look at institutional grade security standards, and then having a compliant and regulated platform. So a word about institutional grade security. When I spoke about low standards, so the gold standard used to be self-custody. It's extremely risky because most people don't have the technical knowledge to really self-custody. We're talking sometimes about hundreds of thousands and even more crypto value. And having that on a little device, and you don't know what you're doing, these devices sometimes fail, and it's not always the best option. It's someone who is very tech savvy, they can do this, but most people aren't. Now the other thing is, and that's called industry grade standard. That's what exchanges will always tell you. We apply an industry grade standard. What they don't tell you, it's actually not that great, because exchange custody, they just use a wallet management software called Fireblocks, but there is no insurance attached to it. If the exchange gets hacked, your funds are at risk. And again, that's something that you want to avoid. And then the third lesser known option is what's called licensed custody. So I've got Sodia there, so they are the licensed custodian of the platform that I partnered with. And so licensed custody is if something happens to the platform, your crypto assets actually insured. So they get hacked or they cease operations, your crypto assets are safe, and that's a very different approach to what's standard in the industry. So the number 1, only institutional grade security is really safe, and the only platform in Australia that provides that to retail customers is Wealth99. So I've got my own business where I work with people who have their own, who want to self-custody. They have a hardware wallet, But for most people, this one is actually the better solution. It's as simple as that. And that is because people lack the DEC understanding to really custody cryptocurrency themselves. Now, they partnered with Sodia. They used to have BitGo, which is pretty much the world leader in custody, and they switched to Sodia last year. Now, Sodia, they are actually owned by Standard Chartered and NAB, banks that don't particularly appreciate crypto, but at the same time, again, this is institutional grade custody. So they also received their Australian Financial Services license last year. Now, that does not cover cryptocurrency at this stage because it's an unregulated market, but they got the financial services license because they will further down the track list securities on the platform. Now, one thing what I like about them is that when you look at coins, who knows, who's got kind of crypto knows some crypto exchanges like CoinSpot. Anyone heard of CoinSpot? Independent Reserve? Yeah. So these exchanges, so they are pretty much focused on you trading because that's how they actually, so that means buying and selling your cryptocurrency because that's how they actually make their money. So they've got like CoinSpot got about 500 different coins. They've got the latest coins. They've got the Trumpy coin and the Melania coin and this coin and that coin because they want you to put your money in there and then trade and sell because that's how they make money. Now, Wealth 99 has a very different approach. So their approach is focused on investors. So people who want to build part of whatever, when they diversify, let's say super, that these are actually investable assets, or assets that are still here in 5, 6, 7 years, and mostly blue chips. So one of the things, and it's something I really like. Oh, you can't actually see that with that. So when you look at this, they've also got a precious metal bundle, and I'll show you an example in a minute. So when you buy these precious metal tokens, they are actually backed up 1-to-1 by the physical precious metals. They sit at ABC Bullion in Sydney, and that's an easy way to diversify into precious metals without the headache of storing them at home and having everything. Specifically when you talk about SMSFs, you want to make sure that they are insured, that they are well taken care of, and so that's one of the things they have. And then they've got these other bundles because when people first purchase cryptocurrency, they don't know much. They might have heard of Bitcoin, they might have heard of Ethereum, right? Has anyone heard, most people heard of Bitcoin, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ethereum, similar, have you heard of Ethereum? Yeah, Ethereum. And that's, someone shakes their head. That's pretty much where it ends usually. So if they then say, okay, I'm gonna purchase some crypto assets, then okay, which one do I pick? They don't have much knowledge and understanding, and the bundles basically help to diversify into a set of cryptocurrencies. So this is the dashboard of one of my clients. Now, so the total portfolio value is 113,000. So just a quick note here. So you can see that the bundles have actually lost quite a bit. And when I say lost, as long as you don't sell, it's a very volatile market. Anyone that enters the market has to understand that it's volatile. It goes up and down quite a bit. Precious metals are up 90% in the last 6 months, whereas those two have gone roughly half of that. Now, so when you look at this particular account, so there's the different, they've got a nice, obviously a nice diversification in that. So they started in February 24, so that's 2 years ago, with 112, and slightly now it's, and they diversified in all 3 bundles, as you saw. And now its current value is 114, so that's gone up $2,000 over the last 2 years. But that's not quite how crypto works. So when you actually look at mid-October, when Bitcoin was at the new all-time high, the portfolio value was at 166,000. So that's decent, and Bitcoin has actually just gone up. So if I make a screenshot today, it's up probably a couple of grand at the minimum. It's gone up 8% over the last 2 days. So that's the thing that anyone has to understand when you deal with crypto. It's a very volatile market. So there again, you just see how the precious metals have performed really, really well, and crypto has been pretty topsy-turvy. Now, why would you even want to look at that market? Why? Now, why are people interested in crypto? Now, on my last presentation, I spoke about one of my clients, Chris. So he started with $250,000 that he put into Bitcoin. And that was mid-2022, so that's less than 4 years ago. And then at the bottom of the crypto winter, the portfolio value dropped to 150. So he had to stomach that he saw his portfolio shrink. He did diversify then into different bundle options and added some more funds as when Bitcoin basically came out of the crypto winter, and then he passed the 1 million milestone. So this is usually not possible in other asset classes, and that's also why people look at cryptocurrency. So here you can see that the chart, Bitcoin chart over the years. So when you look at what's it done over almost 10 years, over 10 years, and you are looking at 110 million% growth. And that's of course right from the start, but you can see how it's grown, but you know how volatile the market is. Yeah.
2 minutes.
2 minutes, okay. And so that is again something when you approach the market that you have to be aware of, that you've got to sit with it, so to speak. Now, one important point here, because I see that I see that quite often, and that's a very famous Warren Buffett quote, obviously, is be fearful when others are greedy, and be greedy when others are fearful. So when you look at the current fear and greed index, it's at 19. So I've never seen it down at 5. That's the first time that I've seen it at 5, which is absolutely extreme fear. And it's still in extreme fear, so it will go back up. But what that means, it's actually a good time to be greedy, according to Warren Buffett. And that is also when usually times where I get much less inquiries, because the market is in fear, but these are usually really good entry points. And when you look at the chart here, and that's why it bounced off, it's just down at the 50% mark of the all-time high, which is a very strong support level. All right, so all in all, in a nutshell, we're looking at obviously a very volatile market, but it's definitely something worth looking at to diversify into crypto assets. And to recap on how to buy and store crypto assets with your SMSF, always look at personalized support, institutional grade security, and then also compliant and regulated platform, and you'll be fine. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.